12 victims later, I met her. I've done this 12 times. The trick is picking the right woman. Average looking, not too loud. When she sat down across the bar from me, I knew she was perfect. "Hey, sweetheart, let me buy you a drink." She looked me up and down, examining me from head to toe. Then she spoke softly. "I was waiting for you to ask." She glanced at my hand briefly, then back at my eyes with a knowing smirk, as if she already understood the shape of my intentions. I grinned as I ordered 2 Manhattans. We spent the next hour chatting. She was the sweetest woman I'd ever met. Somehow, that made her even more desirable to add to my list. I asked about her job. "I work at the animal clinic," she said. "I love all the creatures we work with. The worst part is when I have to assist in putting one to rest." Tears flowed down her face, but she didn't sob. I laid my hand on her shoulder, comforting her. Her demeanor remained calm. "I'm fine, I promise. So, do you live all alone, mister?" I smiled. "What do you want to know?" She grinned and placed her hands on my thighs. "That's where I'm ending up tonight, I hope. You're the first man I'm coming home with," she added with a playful smirk. I leaned in for a kiss. Her lips touched mine. A spark of excitement ran through my brain. She was falling for me. I was the trap. She was the honey. I quickly paid the tab and guided her toward my car. I held the passenger door open for her. "You're such a gentleman," she said softly. "Do you treat all the women you meet like this?" I bit my tongue to hold back the laughter. "Only if you knew, sweetheart." She chuckled as she sat down. We drove off together, moonlight illuminating the quiet night. After about 25 minutes, we were nearing Route 7. She shifted in her seat impatiently. "How much longer? I'm ready for you to take me." During the ride, she had become more forward and flirtatious. "Almost there," I said. "I live on the outskirts of town. Won't be much longer." She suddenly gasped. "Oh my, we're near Route 7, aren't we?" I shrugged, giving no response. She leaned closer. "You've heard about this road, right? There have been a few bodies of men found dead out here." I held back a laugh. "It was women, not men, and you're fucking next." "Well," I said calmly, "I hope you don't have any plans of hurting me, do you?" Her hand fell onto my lap. Slowly, she guided it up to my throat. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, focusing on the road ahead. She leaned in and whispered in my ear, "I'm going to do so much worse to you." I chuckled awkwardly. "I'm precious cargo, sweetheart. Can't be too rough on me." She stayed silent after that, licking her lips in anticipation. I slowed the car and pulled off to the side of Route 7. What's wrong?" she asked. "Why are we stopping?" I turned onto a narrow dirt road. "I don't think I can wait any longer," I whispered. "Stop the car, now!" she screamed. I hesitated before slowly letting off the gas pedal until the car rolled to a stop. She stared at me. I stared back, knowing these were her final moments. I pressed the lock on the door. Then I slowly reached for the knife in the door panel. Before I could grab it, she suddenly launched onto me, kissing me furiously, her fingers tangled in my hair. I couldn't wait any longer either, she whispered. I smiled at how oblivious she was. We kissed for several seconds, and those seconds turned into minutes. Perfect. This was the moment. I reached down again and gripped the knife, preparing to stab her in the back. As I guided my hand upward, she suddenly stopped kissing me. She quickly reached over to the passenger seat and grabbed something. Before I could react, her hand clamped over my mouth. "I've been waiting for this moment," she whispered. I felt a sharp sting in my neck, a syringe. Cold fire spread through my veins, and my muscles went limp. She smiled as she pushed me back into the seat. I tried to focus on her face, searching for a hint of hesitation. There was none, only a calm, terrifying familiarity. She traced her finger along my cheek, smiling as if she knew me better than I knew myself. "I've been watching you," she whispered. "Every move, every victim, every perfect choice." 12 women, she said calmly. My stomach dropped. Did you really think no one would notice? I tried to gasp, but I couldn't move. "Relax," she whispered. "You're not my first either." My family. I died 8 years ago. It wasn't particularly tragic or unusual, just a car accident. I don't blame the man who hit me. He was speeding because his wife was in labor and there was black ice on the road. He lost control of the car, and I lost my life. It's not his fault. I know that. I'm not cruel. I'm not vengeful. If anything, I'm the opposite. You see, I don't have any family left, and I had lost my few friends around that time. When it was time for my funeral, the only people who came was my boss and the family who killed me. The wife held her newborn daughter close to her chest. I hated my boss, and the cemetery was awfully lonely, so I followed the family home. Lily may as well have been my own flesh and blood. She was sweet, bright, and oh so very small. She had trouble sleeping if someone wasn't rocking her crib, and her parents were so tired. After they put her to bed, it was easy for me to rock her crib for her. I didn't get tired. I could help her. As the years passed, Jack and Lori realized that they weren't alone in the house. It didn't take long from there to make a connection between my funeral and when I had showed up. And I'd never been malevolent, so they weren't afraid or angry. They started to burn candles on the anniversary of my death day. They left an empty chair for meals and holidays. I really felt like a member of the family. Someone is trying to force the door. It's Laurie's ex. He's obsessive. He's angry. He's going to hurt the family. My family. The thing about ghosts is that the more offerings you get, the stronger you become. I've been enjoying candles, trinkets, and even the occasional food item in the past 5 years. I was strong from that. The knife feels warm in my hand, a shock of heat against the ice of my skin. Laurie, Jack, and Lily are my family. I care about them, and they're not gonna join me yet. How to scare dad. My father is the scariest man I've ever known. And when armed with a bottle of beer, he reaches nightmare levels. Just the crack of his belt or rise in his voice was enough to make me shake like a leaf. One night, while I struggled to get comfortable in bed from the bruises and sounds of my mom's crying, I hatched an ingenious idea to stop the pain and suffering. Scare Dad. Clearly, he just didn't know how his actions made us feel. But if I scared him like he scared us, maybe then he would change his ways. I tried anything I could think of to produce some fright and scare my dad straight. I would hide and jump out at him, but he didn't even flinch. I placed a toy snake in the toilet, but that only resulted in a beating for me. Finally, I thought of destroying his alcohol. I know that people become scared when they lose something they love. So one by one, I poured my dad's bottles down the drain and eagerly awaited his reaction. I knew this would be it. This would be the thing to scare him. That night, I remember my father discovering the empty bottles and becoming angrier than I've ever seen him. I remember him wrecking the house. I remember him storming into my room. I remember his hands around my neck and me seeing black. Luckily, my planning and hard work that night paid off though. Today, my father lives in a constant state of fear. I'm always watching him, how timid and nervous he is at all times. Whenever I pay a visit, his complexion turns a pasty white. His body shivers like I used to, and he breaks into a cold sweat. I scared my father so good, you would think he saw a ghost. The realtor told me not to go into the fields. I buy foreclosed houses, renovate them, and flip them for a living. The house I bought recently was perfect. The last owner was sick and couldn't keep up with the payments. Sad situation, but it meant the floorboards didn't rot and the windows didn't get smashed. I would thank him, but I'm sure he wouldn't be happy to see my face. The realtor the bank hired rushed every visit, tapping his board, staring at the clock, refusing to stay long. I tried to ask the man what the catch was, but he only said it was the hostility of the folks around there and warned me not to go out into the fields. It seemed like a cheap excuse, but as they say, Don't look a gifted horse in the mouth. In the morning, the early spring weather was cold and cloudy. By the time I neared town, a soft drizzle began falling out of the sky. The town was sleepy and quiet, except for two men in camouflage with rifles on their shoulders. They both stopped as my car passed, their gaze piercing right through me. As I neared my house, I saw boar carcasses hanging on ropes at the side of the road. The lives people led here made my stomach turn. I picked up my bags. I ran into the place with a jacket over my head. The smell of an old person's house hit the moment I stepped in. I unpacked. The map of the property was deep inside my bags. The rain had stopped by then. I walked out to check the property lines. The property was large. Trees lined most of its borders, giving way to forest on three sides. On the right was a large, dug-up field. My feet stepped into the wet mud as I made my way towards it. The ground turned muddier with each step. On the field were a few trees and bushes with more boar carcasses hanging from them. "Hey!" A deep, raspy voice echoed from one of the bushes. I stood, frozen in the mud. A man in a camouflage jacket, carrying a rifle, limped out, his clothes and shoes muddy. "Can't you read?" he yelled, pointing at a tree that had a metal sign nailed into it. I shrugged my shoulders. "Just checking my property line." "Your property?" The man grunted and paused, staring me up and down. "That house wasn't yours to buy." "It was foreclosed." "He was sick. He lost the house." The man's eyes blazed. He pulled his sleeves up and walked toward me. A shiver ran down my spine. But another voice came from behind the bush. "John, let him be." The man stopped, spat on the ground, and limped back towards the trees. I stared at the bush long after they had disappeared into it, my feet deep in the mud. The realtor said the folks weren't welcoming, but this? I spent the rest of the day examining the furniture. The pieces were mostly old, worthless. Throwing them out might get rid of the smell. More renovations were needed to rid this place of the loneliness it reeked of. A knock echoed throughout the house. I peeked out the window. A wave of coldness washed over me. A man in a camouflage jacket stood at my door. Was it the same hunter again? The clock on the wall ticked. The man knocked again and again. I took a deep breath and walked to the door. Outside was a man with a long, unkempt beard, a hunting rifle, and holes in his jacket. "You need to leave. What they planned is not right." Pressure built up in my chest. "What are you talking about?" The man blinked twice. "They'll run you like the others." "You won't scare me away," I said, and shut the door in his face. My hands began shivering. The hunter's words echoed in my head, but the opportunity was too perfect. I brought my own sheets, but they couldn't fully mask the stale smell of the old pillows and blankets. The moon was still bright in the sky when I woke up to a noise. Was it just a dream? I looked around, listening, but nothing. Then I heard it again, a crunchy, crackling sound, like footsteps, but uneven. My heart dropped to my stomach. The driveway gravel. Was the man outside? I bolted to the window, but there was nothing. Just the empty dark. I listened again, but nothing. Only the breeze blew by. I mustn't have been fully awake, I told myself, and went back to bed. The next morning, clouds already filled the sky. You could barely notice the difference between day and night. The wooden floor felt cold under my feet. I walked down the stairs and put on a tea kettle. The water bubbled as the knocking echoed through the house again. My vision pulsed with anger. They won't get off easy this time. The door flew open as I gripped the handle. Outside stood the man from yesterday, smiling. His rifle's butt was pointed at my face. For a second, we just stared at each other. Before I could turn, the dull pain trembled through my head. A cold, wet texture. My head rang. Gust of wind. Rough rope fibers dug into my wrist. My vision darted around, slowly focusing. Panic surged through me. The man with a rifle stood over me. I was in the field. Further away stood other men, in camo, rifles ready. Among them was the man who came to warn me with dry tears on his face. The man standing over me kicked my ribs. The pain throbbed through my body. I got to all fours, grunting. "Run," he said. What? "Run," he screamed out. The men cocked their rifles. Behind them, nailed to a tree, something metal hung. The sign. Rusted. I squinted through the mud in my eyes. Hunting season. Wild boar. Someone broke into our home. It was every family's nightmare. My wife and I had the day off work, and we had taken our son out for lunch and some family bonding time. But as we approached our home, something felt off. I had a growing sense of dread the closer we got. As our house came into view, I could see that the front door was wide open. Someone had broken into our home. I told my family to wait outside in case the intruder was still inside. They obliged, and I slowly and silently made my way through our house. As I stepped into the living room, I saw broken furniture, nothing in its correct place, just utter chaos. Was this person looking for something? Did they have malicious intent? Why our home? Why us? Next, I walked to our kitchen. The fridge has been emptied. Dishes and food were thrown all over the room. What kind of person had broken into our home? A homeless person who just needed food? If so, why had they destroyed the living room? That's when I heard it. Footsteps in the bedroom. The intruder was still in our house. I took a brief moment to be grateful that I had asked my wife and son to wait outside. It was impossible to decipher this person's motives so far, but I was about to come face to face with the person that forcefully entered our home, and I would demand answers. I crept toward the bedroom, slowly. I approached the door and focused on the sliver of light slipping through the crack. I could see faint shadows dancing in the light. I raised my hand, placed it against the door, and took a deep breath, readying myself for whatever may be on the other side. I pushed the door open and stepped through the threshold with authority. I couldn't believe my eyes. I actually rubbed my hands over them, thinking I was imagining things. There, in my son's bed, was a young girl with curly blonde hair. She stared at me with wide eyes. She must have been terrified. I must have been a few feet taller and at least 100 pounds heavier than her. I must have been a sight to see for that little girl. But she should have considered that before breaking into my home. I called my wife and son to see what I found. "Is that a human, Papa?" "Why, yes it is, baby bear. That's dinner." My girlfriend thinks she's being stalked, but that's impossible. I raced to pick her up from work. She was crying when she called. I wiped her tears, and she told me, "I saw him. He was outside the shop, but it was him. I saw him." The him she was referring to is Benjamin Barrett, millionaire, real estate broker, and degenerate stalker. It all started 2 years ago. We weren't even dating at the time, though we would soon after fall madly in love. He found her at work, a local coffee shop. I'd rather not say the name. Anyone who works in the service industry knows there are some weirdos you have to deal with. But this was different. Soon, he was coming 3 times a day, refusing to be served by anyone but my girlfriend. Then he paid one of her co-workers $2,000 to get her schedule. "Baby," I said, knowing exactly how bad it was about to sound. "I don't think you saw him." She was taken aback. "Yes, it was him. I saw him." "I think you might have been just a bit paranoid and thought you saw him, but you didn't. There's no way you saw him. You should try not to make it seem like that." Before long, seeing her at work wasn't enough. He was showing up randomly at all the places she went. Grocery stores, on the train. Hell, he even ran into her at the doctor's office. I think in his head it was supposed to be a meet cute. "I can't believe we're running into each other again." He would ask her out. She would politely decline. He would not take no for an answer. It escalated, as it always does. The real problem was that this guy was loaded, stupid fucking rich. Imagine showing up at work to 144 roses and knowing with dread who sent them. Imagine getting a knock at your door, an opening to a chorus of men singing Mariah Carey's "We Belong Together," being showered with chocolates and balloons, and trying not to throw up thinking, "He knows where I live." My girlfriend didn't talk to me for the rest of the car ride home. I didn't blame her. I knew I was going to be in the doghouse. I tried to console her as best as I could, but I had to be firm. She didn't see him. I know she didn't see him. After she told Benjamin no 100 times, he started to get aggressive. One day, she showed up to work, and everybody in the lobby was wearing the same black suits. He'd paid an army of actors to sit in the shop all day, telling her, "You need to give him a chance. Please, just go on one date. He has so much love to give. She transferred to a different store. He showed up on her first shift. By then, we had been dating for a bit. I never had seen her so afraid as when she opened the package. It was left on our doorstep by a private carrier. No way to send it back. It was a diamond ring. The thing was worth 40 grand. On really fancy paper was a single note. If you don't marry me, I'm going to fucking kill you. I wanted to make my girlfriend food. Distract her from the coffee shop. I know all the things she loves, but she didn't have an appetite. She was still shaken from her mistaken sighting. I told her, "You've been through something traumatic. It's only natural to be paranoid. It's only natural to see things." That was not the right thing to say. She double-checked all the doors were locked, all the windows, set our house alarm, and told me to sleep on a couch. I earned that, but it still hurt. A little after 10 o'clock, I heard my girlfriend scream from our room. I sprinted so fast, it was seconds before I swung the door open. She was pointing at the window. "He was there. I saw him." I ran to the window. I couldn't believe what I saw. An icy handprint in the moisture of the window. Distinctly a left hand missing his ring finger. "Baby, come with me to the attic. Right now." She followed. I helped her slow her breathing down. Told her she was safe now. She asked why we were in the attic. "I need to show you something, but you have to promise to never tell anyone, no matter what. After I show you this, you can never let it pass your lips again. Promise?" She did. Next was small garbage can, a lighter, and lighter fluid. I pulled out an old book with yellowing pages. The cover wasn't a natural leather. There was a sheet of paper stuffed in the middle of it. I handed her the paper, leaving the book open. She looked intently. "How do you have a photocopy of Benjamin Barrett's driver's license?" "Because I took it off him when I murdered him." She went pale. I grabbed hold of her to make sure she didn't faint. I thought one day I might need to prove it, so I made that. But that's the last piece of proof. I destroyed everything, even his ring finger, which I cut off first. If the police ever come, you run up here and burn that sheet in the garbage. "I don't understand. I saw him. I saw him at work. I saw him looking in our window." "I know, babe. I believe you. We're dealing with something worse now." "What?" I showed her the book I'd hid the paper in. "Exorcising Evil Spirits." "I think you're being haunted." The popular girl at my school is weird. The popular girl, Lisa, used to be an unpopular weirdo. I've known her for most of my school life. Back in kindergarten, she was a quiet kid. No friends. Never spoke. She would just stare from the corner of the classroom or the playground. I vividly remember once she even bit the teacher when she tried to force Lisa to play with the rest of us. No consequences came of it. I guess that's the deal when you're fucking around with the weird kids. In middle school, things got worse. She would run around pretending she was a horse, galloping around us and neighing the entire time. Because of this, she was brutally bullied. I remember the boys in particular throwing rocks at her. One time, Eddie, a rather fat, porky kid, threw a rock as hard as he could straight at her head. The sickening crack it made when it connected was stomach-turning. Blood immediately started dripping from the gash it opened on her forehead. She didn't react. She just blankly galloped off back inside the school. Toward the end of that year, Lisa took a few months off. Both her mother and father died in some tragic accident or something like that. I'll be honest, I didn't care enough to remember the details when it happened. After that, she moved in with her grandmother. When we started high school, that's when everything changed. It started with her appearance. She looked completely different, extremely attractive, but in a strange way. Then it was her personality. Gone was the weird horse girl. Lisa was now confident, almost like she had some kind of aura around her that pulled people in. Slowly, she started gaining friends. It started with the popular kids, the football captain, the cheer squad. They all hovered around her like she was the reincarnation of Mother Mary herself. She would always pass me in the hall, giving me a knowing stare, like my time was coming. It always sent a shiver down my spine. That's when I lost my first friend. He left our little group to join Lisa's ever-growing militia. It felt completely out of place, but people changed, I guess. Peer pressure is a hell of a thing. The next day, my second friend was gone too, standing beside Lisa with the others. I still remember the glance he gave me before leaving, like a dog being dragged on a leash that wanted to go the other way. Now it was just me and my last friend. We had a worried conversation about which one of us would be next. On the way home, we gave a somber handshake and said we'd see each other tomorrow. I didn't see him the next day. Well, not in the way I wanted to. He was with Lisa, along with everyone else in my class. They were laughing and having a great time, but the smiles never reached their eyes. I was isolated, and I couldn't take it anymore. Every time I tried getting close, some roided-up jock would step in front of me and tell me to move before taking a wild swing at me, smiling the entire time. So I had to be more discreet. The next day at lunch, I decided to follow them from afar. What I found was so fucked up. Behind the school, out of sight, was Lisa. And at her feet were rows of little replicas of every single one of her friends. Definitely voodoo-looking dolls. Holy shit, I whispered to myself. Well, I thought I whispered. Apparently not quietly enough, because Lisa looked up. She smiled. Slowly, calmly, she began picking up the dolls. I didn't wait to see what she would do next. I ran. I wasn't watching where I was going and slammed straight into one of my corrupted friends. He was smiling, his cheeks bright red, while tears streamed down his face. "You'll have to come with me," he said. "You can be friends with Lisa too." But his eyes were telling me something completely different. Run. So that's exactly what I did. I ran toward the main gates. That's when I saw the track team running straight toward me, all of them smiling. You just can't make this shit up. My luck had completely run out. I knew I was fucked, but I kept running anyway. Then I felt someone grab the back of my head, ripping hair straight from my scalp. I screamed. They all stopped. I didn't. They could keep the hair. I didn't need it. That night, I started researching voodoo dolls. One sentence sent me into a spiral. For a voodoo doll to work, you need a personal item of the individual. The example given was hair. Oh, fuck, I muttered, touching the back of my head where hair once was. Before going to bed, I tried convincing myself I was just being dramatic. I touched the back of my head again. Then I smiled. Being friends with Lisa is truly the best feeling. Our daughter was born dying. Childhood leukemia, they said. Just a bad draw of the cards. The white blood cells inside her, designed to protect her from harm, instead began attacking her, rotting her from the inside out. Her mother and I, also designed to protect her, could do nothing but watch as she slowly wasted away. We named her Viv, short for Vivian, French for alive, defiant, but ultimately not prophetic of her fate. We buried Viv on her 5th birthday. After 5 years of constant heartbreak, our friends and family hoped we would feel some relief when she finally passed. Instead, the heartbreak continued, as omnipresent and suffocating as ever. We hosted seances, burned incense, used Ouija boards, anything to try to keep her, or some small part of her, alive. It was all a waste of time, really. And we knew that, but we never gave up. Until one morning, getting out of the shower, I noticed something drawn in the steam on the bathroom mirror. I assumed my wife had left it for me, but when I entered the bedroom, I found her fast asleep. I kept the image to myself for the time being, assuming I dreamt it. But then I began to see it elsewhere, drawn in the fresh fallen snow with no footprints anywhere nearby. Written in ballpoint pen on new yellow legal pad I just unwrapped from the plastic. Arranged in string beans on top of the meatloaf in my microwave dinner. Viv had died before we properly taught her to write. But she knew what that symbol meant. Love. I took it to mean many things. That she was safe. That she was happy. That she was still with us. Finally, I gathered the courage to tell my wife. She didn't take it well. It began with disbelief, then anger. I showed her pictures I'd taken of the symbols, but of course, there was no proof of where they'd come from. I could have drawn them myself, she said. She became certain that I was toying with her emotions. I understood how she felt. She didn't want to get her hopes up and have them be crushed. It didn't stop me from yelling back at her. It didn't stop me from throwing the dinner plate at the wall. She stormed out of the house, and I didn't stop her from going. It was then that I felt it. Shortness of breath, numbness in my left arm, sharp pain in my chest. I collapsed to the floor, realizing my mistake. Viv hadn't been saying she loved me. Viv had been trying to warn me. I know when my husband is cheating on me. I know when my husband is cheating on me. It's funny. Something like 60% of marriages end in infidelity. But you never think it will be yours. There's so many articles on it too. How to tell, what signs to watch for. Is he spending too much time at the office, which is working hard? Crappy episodes on daytime TV. Some silly girl sobbing as it's all revealed. These articles, shows, dramas, they're for weaker women. I knew the moment my husband didn't love me anymore. Oh, it'll start small. He'll smile more for no reason. He'll laugh at the little things she says or does. Things that he would never in a million years found funny if you said them. And it will only get worse. His face will light up like a sun when he sees her. And he will see her. You can't stop it. She's everywhere in his life. Invasive, like a cancer or a leech. Sucking all of his attention and love away from you. And then, even worse, his friends, your friends, will notice. They'll tell you they've never seen him before like this. How happy he is. It's enough to make you sick. And finally, they'll tell you he's never felt love like this before. That he doesn't know how he lived without her. Well, something had to be done, obviously. I love my husband. I'm not having some little temptress stealing away from me. What kind of woman would I be then? No. So I took matters into my own hands. Thank God she's still little. I don't think I could have drowned her that easily if she could walk just yet. Today, my boyfriend is going to propose to me. I was always careful with my looks. I once wore a bright red, and Alex gently pulled me into a room, sat me down, and took a napkin to my face, violently swiping it away. Shaking away the thought, I moved to a nude-colored eyeshadow. My hair was already silky smooth. I liked it when I was down and free, hanging in my eyes. I ran my hands through it, my boyfriend's words echoing in my head. I don't like your hair down. Tie it up, or I'll fucking tie it up for you. I changed into his favorite color, cream white, a dress that hugged all the curves. Alex said I was perfection embodied. I jumped up, straightening my dress, and flashed a grin in the mirror. Not too many teeth. Alex didn't like too big smiles. He taught me how to smile. Simple, tight-lipped, chin up. My chest visible, but not too eye-catching. Fashioning Alex's favorite smile onto my lips. I left my room and hurried down the glass spiral staircase. Alex's mansion has been my home ever since I could remember. I've only ever known Alex's face, his laugh, his tender touches, his fingers running through my hair. There have been several times I had found myself at the tapering gates. Alex didn't allow me to go outside. That didn't stop me sneaking in out every night. But today, I would become his fiancée. Good morning, ma'am. Cass was waiting at the bottom, dashing as always. As Alex's main servant, he only wore the best. I noticed he was limping, a side effect of yesterday. Cass accidentally added too much milk in his coffee. Alex just laughed, dragged him upstairs, and slammed the door. I didn't hear cries. Kaz wasn't allowed to cry or speak freely. But his whimpers were very much real, bleeding through the walls. He bowed as I passed him. "And how are you today, ma'am?" I smiled at him and offered a small courtesy. "Very well, thank you." "Good." Master Alex is in his study. He held out his arm for me to follow him. Passing the dining room, I pretended not to see Ronan sitting at the table, as always sitting upright, a fork to his grinning mouth like he was eating. Ronan was Alex's last servant before he tried to escape. Before I could reach Alex's study, a woof stopped me in my tracks, paws thumping against the marble floor. I turned to find Kiara, Alex's dog, waiting for pets, tail wagging. I bent down, running my fingers across Kiara's fur. She was a special breed, bred for Alex. But I wasn't sure if dogs were supposed to have human teeth, human eyes, always crying, a human body perfectly sculpted into a dog's. Kiara whined. Kiara, that's enough. Alex's voice slid through me, fashioning me into a position. Stand up straight, chin up, smile, no teeth. My boyfriend stood in front of me with a smile. Thick blonde hair slicked back, dressed in his tennis getup. A thick sheen of sweat glittered on his forehead. Swinging a racket in his hands, he shot me a grin. I'm breaking up with you, babe, Alex said. No offense, but you're just not my type. He pulled me into a hug, his lips finding my ear. I'm tired of your exhausting excuse of a smile. I want a girl who actually likes me. His words broke me, but I just nodded. At least I would be able to leave the mansion. I caught Cass's side eye. Maybe I'd save him too. A last fuck you to my darling Alex. Yes, master. The words that were not mine poured out of my mouth. Like sour vomit, I tried to swallow them down. I'm so sorry, master. My body worked against me, already conditioned to hit the floor, already used to bruised knees and kneeling beneath him. I will be better, I choked out. Alex's smile widened. He swung the racket, deliberately grazing the side of my head. Good girl. He patted my head. Wait for me upstairs in my study, please. I did, my body already moving on his command. I walked back upstairs on wobbling legs. I staggered into the bathroom, breathless, my hands bunched in my hair. Alex liked to boast that we were all tagged behind the ear. His little dogs, he used to call us. I smashed the mirror, and with a splintered shard, sliced into the back of my ear. But my skin was thick and hardened. Plastic. No blood. I sliced again, deeper, until I gagged. Nothing. I turned my attention to my hands, my perfect figure, my perfect legs. Panicking, I stabbed at them until I was screaming, until I couldn't breathe. Not one drop of blood fell. What do you think suits you more, babe? I turned to find Alex in the doorway. In his right hand, the severed head of a beautiful redhead. In his left, a ponytail blonde. Her eyes were still wide open. I staggered back on my hands and knees. The words rose in my throat. Who am I? What am I? What did you do to me? But the darkness enveloped me. Babe? Opening my eyes, I stood in front of my darling Alex, my fiancée. Behind me, Cass stood in the front of the door, his hands clasped neatly in front of him. It was the first time I noticed a gleam of wet wax trailing down the curve of his neck. Should I leave you to it, Master Alex? Yes, Alex murmured. He traced a finger up my neck, across the ragged stitches piecing me together. His fingers found my ponytail, running across my waxy cheeks. My perfect Barbie. I smiled, nodding, and his lips found my ear. Do you remember when you guys bullied me in high school? I didn't speak. My mouth stuck together, wax between my teeth. Well, who's fucking laughing now?